Hello, everyone. We'll just wait for everyone to trickle in and then we will get properly started. While we're waiting, please let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from and a little bit about your business because we'd love to know more about who's joining us today on this very, very warm Monday. I hope you're all managing to stay cool. Wonderful. I can see people trickling in, so let's get started. So hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Lunch and Learn webinar. My name is Emily and I'm a marketing manager here at Enterprise Nation. For those of you who are joining an Enterprise Nation Lunch and Learn for the first time, we are a vibrant community of small businesses and business advisors that exist to shortcut your route to trusted business support. As I just said, while we're waiting for everyone to join, please feel free to tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, if you have one, and where you're tuning in from today, as we would love to know more about you. Today, I am very pleased to be introducing Erusi, who will be discussing the importance of having an effective and positive workplace culture, whether you employ people or maybe you have some volunteers. If you do have any questions throughout the webinar today, please just pop them in the chat and we will do our best to answer them at the end of the session. Today's webinar is being recorded and that recording will be sent to you in a follow-up email later today alongside further resources. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Erusi for her presentation.
Thank you, Emily. Hi, everyone. Lovely to meet you on this, well, if you're in the south of England, sunny Monday afternoon. Thank you for taking the time, prioritizing it to be here at the Lunch and Learn today, which I'm hosting on developing a positive workplace culture. A bit of background on myself. I am a seasoned HR professional. I specialized in people development and management. My experience spans a number of organizations, different sectors across the UK, so tech, not-for-profits, you name it. And that's really fueled my passion for why I wanted to deliver a webinar, a lunch and learn, if you like, on a positive workplace culture. Predominantly, my experiences are focused, and I now work as a human resource consultant for small, medium-sized businesses, supporting them with the weird and wonderful in their people management and development of employees, or as Emily mentioned, volunteers that they might have working in their businesses. In terms of my intention today, we'll focus on a couple of things, looking at what does it mean to have a positive workplace culture and why it's important, the role of yourselves, if you're a business owner, leader on the call today, in terms of shaping a workplace culture and how you go about developing a workplace culture and making sure it can positively impact the way you manage your people. I always like to start off with giving, I guess, a bit of background, a bit of rationale around whatever topic I'm sort of sharing or presenting on. And today's topic, obviously being culture, is just wanting to enlighten you and share with you what the current thinking on workplace culture is. So I'll use the language of workplace culture, business culture, organizational culture interchangeably throughout the call today. But two key things that I wanted to share with you are, firstly, the first image represents decades-long research that was carried out by Gallup, and that was published last year into organizational culture and what leaders needed to be aware of in terms of the importance and the significance of organizational culture. And the biggest takeaway from that research was that culture is a strong differentiator and a source of competitive advantage for businesses. So businesses that have strong, positive workplace cultures can set themselves apart from their competitors as a result. And then the other image is a well-known quote. You may have come across it before. It's often attributed to a management consultant, Peter Drucker. And the thinking and the premise of this is that culture is so significant and so important in terms of the success of businesses. And they would say, and the thinking and the belief is that of even greater significance than a business's strategy. So I just wanted to kick off with where the dial is at now in terms of organization, business culture, and its significance and where it sits in the world of work today. As with anything, it's useful to have a definition to sort of frame and have as a reference point for what we're discussing today. And obviously, like I said, our topic is company culture, business culture, organization culture. And that definition, the one I've put up there, there's several you could have referenced today, is one I particularly like because it's broad and I think it encompasses the key elements that are relevant for the discussion of company culture. And it's one by Forbes. And it says that your company culture is this living and breathing persona of your business. So the norms, the practices, the values and behaviors that define the character and identity of your business. So there's a lot there. And I think I just want to draw out a few things from what's been highlighted in terms of the words that are in bold. So when we look at living, breathing persona, that is indicating that culture is something that is not static, it's ever changing, it's dynamic. And I guess it's influenced by internal and external factors that cause it to change. So your culture for your business, wherever stage of growth your business is in now, will evolve and change over time. So that living and breathing part of it. The other aspect links to the norms, the values, behaviors. So it's your way of being, who you are, your I guess, how we do things around here. It's what behaviors, what are accepted and tolerated, and the behaviors that are not accepted and not tolerated within your business that helps to shape and influence the culture that is evidenced, that is experienced by the employees in your organization. And lastly, character and identity. That is that distinction, the thing that makes your business different to, I guess, the outside observer from other businesses. So if you took two competing businesses, for instance, like Starbucks, Costa Coffee, yes, the outputs, the outcomes are the same, but you scratch and you go beneath the surface and you look at these organizations, it's that distinct character in terms of their way of working, how they go about doing business, what the employees experience, that will determine and give some indication as to what the overriding dominant company culture that exists within the business is. So there are several drivers on, or influences, if you like, on workplace culture, business culture. And I just wanted to touch on a few of them as we go through. So the first two are obviously, what is the business's vision? What's the business's mission, the objective that it set itself? So the vision being the long-term strategic direction of the organization, of the business. The mission, the objectives might be your short-term, medium-term targets, company to expand from a region in the UK or expand internationally. Those sorts of key targets that shape and inform the business's direction of travel, if you like. They have a profound and a significant impact on the internal culture of any business. And there's something to be aware of as we consider this topic of workplace culture. The business's origin, so the reason for starting the business in the first call today, and you're an entrepreneur. So your impact as that business leader who set up the business that you are running at the moment, whether that business has social aims or different aims, and the reasons for starting it will directly impact the culture that is at play within your business or within your organization. Every business operates or is a part of an industry, a marketplace, and the overriding business environment that the business finds itself, whether it's an environment where there are lots of competitors, whether there are lots of competitors offering similar or differentiated products, or whether there is a strong, intense level of competition and rivalry within competitors in the market, that external environment impact will drive and influence the internal environment in terms of the culture of your organization. The values of a business. So we touched values in the definition earlier, and values really are the identity statement of your business. So what are the values that are the underpinning principles to influence and guide your employees or your volunteers within your business. Do you have values? Do you not have values? The presence or the absence of values will influence the overriding workplace culture that exists within your organization. Policies and processes, whether they be policies and processes related to how you manage people, or policies and processes related to how you interact and you manage your customers. All of those things have an impact on the overriding, the overall workplace culture that is seen, that is witnessed or experienced by employees within your business or within your organization. So just a few of them to touch on that I think are key drivers to be aware of, and I've put them on there just for reference. What I like to do now is for you to have a think about the organization that you lead, that you are a business owner of, or that maybe you are experienced as an employee, because, you know, a call of this side, there's a variety of people who are on here. When you think about maybe if you are a business owner or leader, the current employees or volunteers in your business right now, what would you want them to say about their experience either now or in the future of working for your business? So if you were to pose the question to them, what's your experience like? You've been with us for a year of working here. What are some of the things you would like them to come out with? As we've said that it's the norms, the practices that really shape the living, breathing aspect of your business that you will see. So what would you like them to say? So that's something to maybe think about for now, you know, hold on to it or ponder later. But some things that I wanted to share to just give us guidance, perhaps that you might want to consider in the response that you get back might be, would you like them to say something about the fact that the work that they're carrying out is meaningful? It is challenging work. Would you like them to say that their experience of being in your business and your organization, it's that they've had the opportunity to contribute, to add value, that they have felt that they have developed and grown in alignment to their career aspirations or improved their skill sets as a salesperson, etc. What would you like them to say in response to the question? Might it be that their experience would be something of they felt respected, treated fairly, and trusted for being an employee in your business? Or lastly, that they felt in their interaction, in the roles that they performed, in the activities that they carried out, in terms of delivering to your business objective, they felt that they were empowered and equipped for success. So no right or wrong answers with this. It's just something to consider in terms of the response you might like to see, because culture really, the way you sort of understand culture, or how culture is evidence, is really by the experiences of the people in your organization. So that will give you an insight, that will clue you in into what the culture currently is, if it matches up with any of the sort of points that you can see on the, I guess, on the right-hand side of my slide, what they might say in response to that question that you ask. I think we've alluded to it a little bit earlier when we were looking at the key drivers and influences on culture. And that was saying that a leader has a significant role to play, one that is crucial in shaping the workplace culture of the business that they lead or that they are a part of. And the first and foremost, would be the leader's role in setting the vision and the values for the organization. So leaders, they set the vision that this is where we're headed, this is the direction of travel. And in doing so, they also shape and inform the values that will guide them on that journey or getting to the desired destination in terms of the vision that has been set. And Steve Jobs, for instance, obviously was one of the co-founders of Apple. He's no longer with us, but he's someone who's often cited as a visionary leader in terms of his leadership style and how he contributed to the culture and the strategic direction of Apple. So his vision was always to see technology as an extension of oneself. So not necessarily being about innovative products only, although Apple did have that, but it was that challenge and the encouragement to his employee, to his workforce, to think differently and to embody and have that mindset to allow them to have this culture of innovation and trial and error that led to Apple being what it is and still is now in terms of its culture. And that thinking different became their mantra, the guiding principle, and the statement that informed their direction and still does till today. The leader's role, whether it's yourself on the call or anybody else who might watch this later on, really, is about ensuring that you're in a position to communicate a clear and compelling, inspiring vision that includes what your business's core values are. So values is coming up again for us as significant as this identity statement of who your business is going to be and what will guide your business in its direction of travel towards your strategic objectives or your short-term or your medium-term objectives. And researchers emphasize the fact that employees who know the direction of travel where the organization or the business that they work for is headed and who understand what the values are and what the business stands for, they're more likely to be top performers in a business that they're a part of. And that makes sense because they are sold in, they're sold out for the cause of the business, and they are motivated by the clarity in the vision and the assurance of the values that the business upholds. Leading by example will not be a surprise to anyone in terms of a leader being able to shape the workplace culture. But using the sort of reference point of a thermometer versus a thermostat. So a thermometer's job is, like we might have one in our households, is to regulate the temperature. It's to actually reflect what the temperature is. So it's quite a sunny day in London today. My thermometer will tell me what the temperature is, hot or cold, and that's it. But the thermostat's job is really to regulate and to maintain the temperature, that climate in that environment. And so that's the role of the leader here with regards to workplace culture, which is to be the individual that is someone who seeks to regulate and influence for the positive the workplace culture in the businesses that they lead, and also make sure there are mechanisms in place to maintain that said culture or to improve it in the direction of travel that they want to see. It's about being that living role model, that, person that reinforces the desired behavior that you'd like to see that reflects your business value. So a leader, an entrepreneur, that's often credited with leading with vulnerability and acknowledging their mistakes, etc., is Sarah Blakely, who's the owner, founder of the shapewear brand Spanx. And it is said that the style of leadership that she has displayed has allowed that business to have this culture of accountability and continuous improvement. And that has been a positive thing to their culture. The last point in terms of a leader's role in shaping workplace culture would be that commitment. Wherever you are in the business cycle, wherever the level of growth the business is in, if there is a stated shared value that has been communicated to the organization, then the leader's role is to ensure that they are committed to that value, to those values. A leader's commitment to values, it encourages the commitment of other employees, your volunteers will commit to the values that has been shared with them to the extent or to the degree that the leader of that organization is committed to upholding and living out those values. So another entrepreneur that we can see on the screen there is Emma Greed, who is a co-founder of two apparel businesses, so clothing brands, Good America and Skims. And her commitment to saying diversity is good business and is good for business has not only just been a belief that she's held, but has been evident and tangible in the action she's taken in terms of for products that she's offered through her brands. So a lot can be said about making sure you have a positive workplace culture and why it's important. I wanted to share just a few reasons maybe that might resonate, that might be a call to action for you in terms of where you sit with culture in your organization or the businesses that you are leading. And the first is that a positive workplace culture leads to increased engagement. So if we think of engagement as being the highest state of job satisfaction for an employee or for a volunteer, it means that they feel respected, they feel valued in the work that they're carrying out. And all of those things seem like positive, nice to haves. And what that means is it positively impacts their actions, the outputs that you see from them in terms of their productivity and their performance levels. In addition, if employees are mostly motivated, productive in their roles, they're less likely to seek out new opportunities with other employers. They are able to contribute more effectively to your business if they have longer tenure, if they feel valued in your organization, and that will lead to longer, effective, more productive relationships that might lead to innovative products, superior products and services offered to your customers because they are present, they are engaged, and they want to do good work. That also supports the fact that if you have low turnover, employees are staying with you for longer for all the right reasons, then it reduces the need to recruit and replace and keep that cycle going. And so you've got savings on your recruitment costs. You've also got savings on the time it takes to get new employees up to speed and effective in their roles. That is reduced or perhaps even eliminated in some cases. A study by Gallup stated that organizations that have employees who are engaged, if you like, who are satisfied in their job roles, they experience a 21% higher rate of profitability. You know, we're in business, and perhaps, you know, that could be a motivator for someone who is in business right now to see really tangibly how engaged employees can directly impact your bottom line. The increased productivity, improved quality of service, and the knock-on effect to customer loyalty might have a positive impact on your profits. And the research by Gallup attests to the fact that that has been the case for some businesses. This was research in the UK, in the US, not in the UK, but I think the point remains valid that happier employees and engaged employees will translate to better and improved services and products for your customer base. And last, employees should be seen as brand ambassadors. They should be seen as that. And actually, even if they're not, they do behave like brand ambassadors for good or for bad. So if employees within your organization, within your business, feel that their overall experience is positive, they will freely share this information to friends, family, on platforms like, and that will have a direct impact on the view that prospective employees have of your business's brand and of your business. Would they like to apply if there was a job opportunity available? I think this is particularly of relevance to small businesses that might operate in a specific region. The reputation that you have from a closed pool of prospective candidates or applicants to your organization, you would want that to be positive. It can attract talent if you need it. So how does a positive workplace culture get developed? There are a few things that I want to share with you around what you can do and some actions afterwards that you can take to do it. But first thing would be back to the values, defining what values will shape and inform the business culture. And once you have these values, whatever they are, values are verbs. Simon Sinek says values are verbs. So they're doing things. They're a call to action to let your employees know how to behave in any given situation. So what are your values? Once you've defined them, share them, reiterate them, and keep reinforcing them to your employees, to your volunteers. Have opportunities where employees are able to give feedback on their ideas. They're able to share their concerns, but also involve them where you can and where it is appropriate and relevant in decision making and problem solving. There's an element of recognize and reward that has to be built into a positive workplace culture where all employees, regardless of their levels and status and tenure, they feel that they are rewarded for the efforts and the achievements in terms of their contribution in the roles and activities for your business. Policies and processes, we said earlier, are definitely a key driver and an influence on workplace culture. And what it does is it helps to provide that clarity and promotes consistency in terms of the approach that you take, whether it's operational or with regards to people management or development that you have. Once it's seen and it's evident, it helps to build trust with your employees and your volunteers that they will be treated in a consistent manner. And then the last point is around learn and grow. It's about doing what you can to provide your employees with opportunities for learning and development to increase their capability and the opportunities for them to add value. So all of these points I've got on here, I would like to break down into a bit more detail, into actionable items. So you can say, I joined the call, this is great, Erusi, but what can I take away? And so some possible actions that you can take to develop a positive workplace culture. If we go back to define and share, it's once you know what your values are, and they are a call to action, so we care deeply, we push forward positively. What do those things mean? Make sure it's clear and employees are not left in any doubt as to regards to what your business stands for in terms of its values, and they can put that into action whenever it's needed. Like I said, ensuring that you reiterate and you embed your values across your business activities. So in your recruitment and selection approaches, how are your values showing up? How are you selecting potential employees or volunteers to come on board and work for your business to those values? In how you onboard new team members, in the activities, the tasks, the bringing together of your teams for team days, etc. Can your values be seen? And are you using those opportunities, I guess, to reiterate the values and what they stand for? The biggest element I have here, and it's not that one is more important than the other, but it's really about this listen and speak, which speaks to employees wanting to be heard and listened to. And it allows for a two-way process. And you can do that from your team meetings, whether it's monthly staff meetings you have as an organization, as a business. It's asking for feedback, encouraging suggestions, and that involvement in problem solving. More practically, it could be that you need to do a pulse check on where are we now in terms of our culture by an engagement survey to measure the level of engagement. How satisfied are your employees in your organization? And you can do that as often as is relevant for you. It could be quarterly, it could be twice a year, but you will find the rhythm and the pattern that works. I know there's different sizes of organizations represented on the call today, as is relevant for you. And it's not all things, it's some of the things you could do. The last one I'll pick on here, because I think the others are self-explanatory, are stay interviews. And it's really a case of, if you are a small business that has been going for maybe 2 or 3 years, and you have someone who's been with your organization for 3 years, find out why they choose to keep staying in the face of competition, in the face of opportunities elsewhere. Why are they with your business? What is the positive experience that is the driver that is keeping them there? That might be useful information to have, rather than wait till when they've handed in their notice and they're trying to leave and you do an exit interview. Recognize and reward. It's about rewarding your employees and your volunteers in alignment to your business values. So rewarding for outcomes as well as efforts as part of that to motivate and encourage them for a job well done. Policies and processes in terms of how you manage and develop people, why you might need to have them, and why that transparency for all to see in terms of how things are dealt with or handled might positively impact the culture of your organization. learn and grow. The 70-20-10 simply means 70% of learning in any job comes from the day-to-day activities. So it's about reflecting on the jobs. We said earlier, is it meaningful work? Is it challenging? How you can bring that element of challenge and meaning to their roles to allow colleagues develop and grow. And overall, in doing that, there's mutual benefits for the individual who's being developed and who learns, but also for your business in terms of having a multi-skilled and capable workforce that allows you fluidity and flexibility in times of absence. And this, I believe, is my last slide and last point, which is to reflect back on what we said earlier in terms of your current employees and volunteers. If you were to pull one of them aside and ask a question about their experiences now and in the future, what would they say? What would be reflected back to you as their experience of working in your business at the moment? So maybe a point to reflect on. And I will leave it there to see if we've got any questions or anything else. I rushed through that because I talk quite quickly.
We've got one question coming through from Jacqueline asking if you will be able to share the slides.
Of course.
If you're comfortable, we can include those in the follow-up email later today so everyone can look over all the useful bits of information in there. But if anyone has any questions, please put them in the chat now. We'll have a few minutes just to answer anything. Looks like you've already answered everyone's questions. I know we've got one that's come through in the Q&A box here, who says, is workplace culture not a reflection of society? And if these are linked, how do we deal with the related challenges?
Fundamentally, workplace culture is influenced by internal and external factors, and definitely society is key. You know, we say business operates in society and it influences society and society influences business. And I think a good example of that would be all the best practice initiatives around diversity, equity, and inclusion to reflect the society that a business serves, that is their customer base, but also because maybe some might see that to be as a good way to do business. And so there will always be that intersectionality, there will always be that challenge, but I think it starts off with what is the business trying to achieve, and from its strategic perspective, but also the values that they want to be held accountable to. Do they want to be seen as a business that is has a positive stance on inclusion, on collaboration, whatever it is that the business decides and sets apart for itself? Definitely society will influence the business, and the business itself would influence society. So it goes hand in hand in doing that. And there are examples of different types of businesses who are forging ahead if they have social aims, like I mentioned earlier, and are using that to inform the values and how it drives forward their business. I don't know if I quite answered that question as well, but I don't know if the person who typed it in can maybe share more. Happy to offer more. But yeah, that's what I would say to that. It's interrelated and they rub off on each other.
I think that was a great answer. Very well summed up there. We've had some lovely feedback in the chat. Claudia says, great presentation, thank you. And Brahma says, great session, many thanks. So thank you so much for Erusi for joining us today and sharing your wisdom. I have put a link in the chat for you all to connect with Erusi on Enterprise Nation. So if you have any more questions about workplace culture, then you know where to go. Fabulous session. Thanks a lot from Leo. Rich session from Jacqueline. That's lovely. So yes, thank you so much everyone for joining us today. And I hope you found that useful and learned a lot about workplace culture. You will be sent a recording and the slides in a follow-up email later today, so you can watch it back if you missed anything. And of course, make sure to connect with Erusi if you have any more questions. But Erusi, thank you so much for joining us today. I know it's very, very hot, so make sure you go and get outside.
I will do. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thank you. And have a lovely rest of your day, everyone. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.